welcome to episode number 90 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers, presented by Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, and iHeartRadio, plus Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast is where you can listen to me. And if you are listening to me right now, thank you. I appreciate you. This is Jason Finale getting ready to settle down and talk about a big week in video games. Not a lot of on the esports headlines front, just a couple of tournaments that are happening. But all three segments this week will go over some big time news in general gaming. But we'll get into that a little while. Just right now, I want to talk about the March Music Madness 2022 bracket going on right now. The fan voting on Twitter, the Twitter polls have been great so far. We've had a couple of ties that needed 1 hour runoff tiebreakers. One match needed 2 1-hour tiebreakers. But it has been a great time. We are down, as of this recording, to the final 8. Mega Man 2 versus Earthbound. Final Fantasy XIV versus Ocarina of Time. Chrono Trigger, the lone 1 seed, against the surprise 10 seed, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. And finally, Doom 2016 versus Final Fantasy VII. Those are your Elite 8. This podcast will go up at 9 o'clock. The Final 4 will be decided at 11 on Friday. So if you're listening to this after 11 o'clock, we will know the Final 4 unless there are runoffs going on, which is entirely possible considering how the rest of the tournament went. But it's been a great tournament so far. I've had a lot of great people voting, and it seems like people are really enjoying it. So I'm excited to do this again in the future, hopefully with a new slate of games or different games that I had not thought of before. But there will be a number 1 seed reserved for the champion, whoever that may be, or whichever game that may be. But enough about that. Let's get into the 6 in 60 seconds. The Call of Duty League's Major 2 kicks off in Minnesota this weekend with Optic Texas, Atlanta FaZe, London Royal Ravens, and Boston Breach in the top 4 standings going in. League of Legends mobile version Wild Rift will see its first esports live event in North America, the WNS Championship, next month at the Mall of America. Overwatch League causes controversy with a fan art contest when fine print reveals that Blizzard would own all submissions with no obligations to pay the submitting artist, among other offenses. Meanwhile, Jeff Keighley has confirmed his Summer Game Fest event will continue this year, starting with a big reveal live stream in June. Epic Games has announced Zero Build, a new no-building mode for Fortnite's Battle Royale, Just Guns. Let me tell you, it's great. And finally, The Fast and the Furious Crossroads, the final game revealed at the Game Awards 2019, will be delisted next month, less than 2 years after its release. Those are your 6 in 60 seconds. Yes, folks, those are your 6 in 60 seconds for the week. Big news all around, but you may be wondering why I left out one of the biggest stories of the week coming from the folks at PlayStation. That was intentional. I am going to be talking about that in the first segment of the show. So, here we go. This week, PlayStation has finally announced its competitor response, whatever you want to call it, to Xbox Game Pass. And it's a tiered subscription system, basically building on the PlayStation Plus that they already use. And it's interesting, but I think really left some people underwhelmed. Not me. I think there still needs to prove, or more it needs to show before I can really make it a judgment on it. But I will give some first opinions right here. So let's talk about PlayStation Plus Essential, PlayStation Plus Extra, and PlayStation Plus Premium. So, first off, PlayStation Blog is where this was announced. Jim Ryan himself wrote the copy for this blog, and it says, since launching PlayStation Plus in 2010, SIE has been at the forefront of innovation with game subscription services. We were thrilled to be the first console membership service that included a refreshed library of games through PlayStation Plus, and also launched the first console game streaming service with PlayStation Now. Today we are pleased to share with you official news about changes coming to our subscription services This June, we're bringing together PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now in an all-new PlayStation Plus subscription service that provides more choice to customers across 3 membership tiers globally. Our focus is providing high-quality, curated content with a diverse portfolio of games, and below is an overview of the 3 membership tiers, and we will go through them right now. PlayStation Plus Essential is the same thing that it is now. Nothing changes. You get online multiplayer access, you get cloud storage for your save games, you get exclusive discounts in the PlayStation Store, and you get your 2 monthly downloadable games. Now, notably, it was 4. It does sound like in June it's going to go down to 2. Hopefully that means the quality of game will be better, but no guarantees there. The price for this is $9.99 monthly, $24.99 quarterly, or $59.99 yearly, which means no change at all. It is the same amount that it has always been, although now you're going to have 1 month and 3 month options, which I'm sure some folks would really appreciate. But the full year will stay the same at $60. PlayStation Plus Extra gives all the benefits from the Essential tier, but also adds a catalog of up to 400 of the most enjoyable PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games, including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation Studios catalog and third-party partners, and everything in the Extra tier is downloadable. No streaming whatsoever. All download to your console and play whenever you want. Free, or not free, but included with PlayStation Extra, and everything else from the Essential tier. So it just adds that catalog of 400 downloadable games, which is more than Game Pass, but still we'll have to see what's actually in there before we can really get excited about it. And the price in the US is $15 a month, $40 quarterly, or $100 a year. So you're paying an extra $40 a year if you go with the lump sum down to have access to 400 games, which, you know, when you put it that way, it's at 10 cents a game, $40 for 400 games. Again, depends, and we'll talk about my biggest concern with it, but we'll go from there. Finally, PlayStation Plus Premium, P3, the big boy, P's cubed. Let's see. All the benefits from Essential and Extra. So the online play, the cloud gaming, the 2 free games a month, all that, plus the 400 game PlayStation 4 and 5 calendar, plus 340 additional games, which include some PlayStation 3 games, which are streaming through the cloud, and a catalog of beloved classic games available in both streaming and download options from the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PSP. This also allows cloud streaming access for original PlayStation, PS2, PSP, and PS4 games offered in the Extra and Premium tiers in markets where PlayStation Now is currently available. Customers can stream games using PS4, PS5, or PC. And time-limited game trials will be offered in this tier, so customers may try select games before they buy. So you're getting everything from the previous 2 tiers, 340 more games from the back catalog, PS3, PS1, PS2, PSP. And that price is $17.99 a month, $49.99 quarterly, $119 per year. Hefty sum. It is. No lies detected. It is a very... it's a double. Basically, you're paying double what you already are for PlayStation if you go premium. You're doing 120 yearly instead of 60 yearly. It's that simple. But they did announce some of the games that will be in the Extra and Premium tiers: Death Stranding, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, and Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, the only one of these from a third party, and Returnal. But that's it. And then Jim Ryan goes on to talk about how, this is great and everybody loves it, blah, blah, blah. So here's my take on this. When it first came out, people were very, very down on it. The reason being, Game Pass does still have one major benefit that PlayStation Now, this PlayStation Plus Essential, Premium does not. And that is day one first-party titles. Whenever Xbox Game Studios put out a brand new game, or any of the studios they own put out a brand new game, it's on Game Pass day one, no ifs, ands, buts, or coconuts. That is huge, and that is a major selling point for Game Pass. PlayStation does not have that. It will be adding games, it will be curating games, it will be putting more games on the service and taking things away, just like Game Pass does, I'm sure. But day one brand new games are not there. So if this comes out in June and say God of War Ragnarok comes out in October, God of War Ragnarok will not be on the premium tier, which for some people was tough to swallow, and that I understand. I would have preferred that as well. There's no reason why they can't include that the way that Xbox does. It makes no sense that they wouldn't want to grab as many people as possible, with the brand new games being a huge selling point. But I don't make the decisions, and I'm not the one who unfortunately gets to make that call. So I dig it. I should say I don't dig that decision. But as a whole, I think there's huge potential here. And the reason I think there's huge potential here is because PlayStation has something that Xbox did not have when they announced Game Pass. Xbox still does not have, and that is backlog. Extensive, multiple decades worth of backlog. I'm not even talking about the 400 PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games. Those are fine. Those are cool. But that's not what I mean. I mean the 340 PlayStation 1, 2, and Vita games and PS3 games. That right there is what could put it over the top for people. A lot of people were like, well, why don't you just get a console? Why don't you just get one of those old consoles and get the games that way? Okay. Have you seen eBay prices lately? Do you have the shelf space to put all these consoles on it? Or do you want the convenience of being able to play all these games in one place, on one console? Sure, it's $120 a year. That's a steep bullet to bite, as is $18 a month, making it the most expensive of any service right now, of the kind for gaming. However, if that library, if that back catalog is good enough, I think this thing sells gangbusters. I really do. I think PlayStation Plus Premium, with 740 games automatically available, most of them to download, the PS3 being the only exception, plus that vast potential back catalog of first and third party titles, come on, man. That is a huge, huge boon. And to overlook that would be absolutely silly. Now, the big thing for me, the biggest selling point of this whole thing, is the quality of that back catalog. They need to ensure that the best games on those consoles are in that service on day one. PlayStation better have as many Final Fantasies as they can muster, Legend of Dragoon, old school fighting games like Tekken 2 and 3 and stuff like that. Any like Castlevania Symphony of the Night has to be there. Just any if it's a game that you equate with the original PlayStation, it needs to be in that service. If it's a game that you equate with the PlayStation 2, it needs to be in that service. Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 should be in that service. If they're on if it's the PS4 version, it's the 1 and 2 HD remakes or 2.8 whatever whatever that one's called. That's fine too, as long as Kingdom Hearts is in that service somewhere. We're cool. Final Fantasy X, I think should be a lock, whether it's the HD remaster or the PS2 port. I prefer the HD remaster, but that should be a lock as well. Games that are synonymous with the PlayStation 2 need to be in there. PSP, same thing. Not as well versed with the PSP library. I had one, but I didn't have a ton of games for it. So I will leave that to someone who is a better expert than me for what should be in there for PSP. Lack of Vita kind of sucks, but I get the feeling that is one that they could add later on. Maybe they just haven't figured it out yet. Vita is only, 10 years old, so maybe they have some plan with it. Or not, maybe they don't. But there were some Vita games that I think would be worthy of this service, should they choose to. And that's definitely something that I would recommend that they do, because I think that would be a nice little bump. Just, as one of their showcase announcements. Hey, PlayStation Plus has started. Everything's looking good. It's September. We're 3 months in. Here's Vita. That'd be sweet. I think that'd be pretty awesome. I think it's well worth the investment there. PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games, don't make us wait too long for your first party exclusives. If you want to wait, this is like a 3-month grace period, 6-month grace period, whatever you want that grace period to be, fine. Add it eventually. and I'm sure you'll still see some success. And then PlayStation 3, you would need the Uncharted trilogy. You would need, which again, you could get remastered. Metal Gear Solid 4, I think, would have to be on there. Some weird, obscure stuff like folklore, weird stuff like that, plus the AAAs. That is how you make an extensive enough library that people will want to subscribe to this service. That's what you have to do. That is the biggest challenge of all of this. If you can't do that, if you can't pull them in with a quality library of retro titles mixed in with the PS4 and PS5 stuff, that I think is going to kill it. That's what's going to really drag this thing down. The higher price sucks, and the lack of day one game releases also sucks. But if they can figure out, if they can make it so that it's a nostalgic necessity, because nostalgia sells, baby. If they can make it a nostalgic necessity, I think the sky's the limit for this thing. And I also think that a lot of people who I were reading and who I was listening to poo-pooing this are people who may be, industry insiders and think that it's not doing enough or what have you. The layman, the normal, casual gamer who's going to see, a whole library of PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games if they subscribe to this yearly thing, if they have the money for the yearly scratch, if not, just a monthly thing, I think they'll do just fine. Do I think they'll catch Game Pass? Remains to be seen. Again, quality of the back library is what's going to determine that. But I do think that this is going to be a success, maybe a little slower than Game Pass was, but I do think eventually PlayStation Plus Premium is going to get there. It's going to get there on the back of a quality back library. It's going to get there on the online gameplay that's offered through all three tiers. It's going to get there through the library of PS4 and PS5 games, which some people might only care about, so they only have to go up to the $14.99 or $99.99 a month tier, which would be fine. So there are a lot of possibilities with this thing. There are some qualms, there are some setbacks, and there are some concerns. But if you ask me, PlayStation Plus Premium and Extra will be successful if they curate those libraries with a who's who of the consoles they're representing. Need to be the best games on the console, maybe some cult hits as well, like an Alundra for PlayStation 1, stuff like that, along with all the really popular stuff. And I don't think this has any problem being a success. Time will tell. Of course, we won't know until June when it launches properly. But I think the real indication will be when the library of games comes out and they're able to finalize and share with us what will be available in each tier on day one. So, PlayStation Plus Essential, PlayStation Plus Extra, PlayStation Plus Premium. There they are. The brand new PlayStation Plus tiers beginning in June. If this is something that you think you would be interested in, let me know at Big Man Finale on Twitter. Love to hear your take on it. And I'm looking forward to it, Sony. I'm looking forward to seeing what else you have to say about this. I need you to sway me. I need you to sway me to upgrade, and I would be happy to do so if the service is worthy of my hard-earned money. So, coming up after the break, we're going to talk about a bit of sad news, actually, in the world of video games. The cancellation of a big-time event that might actually be the death knell for said event. So we'll have that on the other side. Stick around now. All right, welcome back to Cheesesteaks and Controllers, episode number 90. Chugging right along here with, unfortunately, a bit of sad news in the world of gaming. Gaming specifically, not so much esports in this particular segment here. Today, the Entertainment Software Association, I always get that wrong. The ESA, basically the major lobbying firm for the video game industry, announced that to follow up with the announcement that there will be no in-person live event, that E3 2022 will not happen. There will be no digital event as well. It is officially canceled its plans for an online event. Following is from Games A Beat by Dean Takahashi, longtime writer in the games world. The Entertainment Software Association confirmed today that the Electronic Entertainment Expo, or E3, is going to be canceled for 2022. ESA has already signaled it would not do a physical event in LA, and it was considered replacing it with an online event, but that has also been canceled. The statement says E3 will return in 2023 with a reinvigorated showcase that celebrates new and exciting video games and industry innovations. Previously announced that E3 would not be held in person in 2022 due to the ongoing health risks surrounding COVID-19. Today we announced there will also be no digital E3 showcase in 2022. Instead, we will devote all our energy and resources to delivering a revitalized physical and digital E3 experience next summer. Whether enjoyed from the show floor or your favorite devices, the 2023 showcase will bring the community, media, and industry back together in an all-new format and interactive experience. We look forward to presenting E3 to fans around the world live from Los Angeles in 2023. So there you have it. This sucks, to be completely honest. This sucks because no sooner did this news break. It broke via Twitter also, which is interesting. I will read that tweet as well as we are talking here. No sooner did that first tweet happen did people start with their nonsense on Twitter. As we do all the time, people started getting up in arms and talking about how E3 is dead and E3 sucked and it was just a mark, the typical reaction that you expect from an announcement like this. And frankly, it's exhausting. But let's get into it. So the tweet started this whole thing off was by a gentleman named Will Powers. Will Powers is a partnership coordinator for Razer, the accessory company. Used to be a PR guy for Deep Silver and a couple other companies. That's why I've interacted with him a couple of times. Also worked for Tencent for a hot minute, but now he's at Razer. And he wrote, just got an email. It's official. E3 Digital is officially canceled for 2022. Lots of mixed feelings about this. And then VentureBeat followed up. They got the statement, and the ESA officially canceled the show. And honestly, I'm not about to sit here and dance on the corpse of E3 in general. E3 2022 is dead. Long live E3 2022. But I refuse to believe that E3 as a event is dead. Now, obviously, there have been rumblings for years that things were getting too expensive and people didn't want to pay the dues and all this other stuff. And I completely understand that. I do think a lot of the problems with E3 at the moment are fueled, if not directly caused, by the people who are working at the top. The ESA just seems to have forgotten how to put on an E3 or did not realize how to adjust to the changing world with their E3 conference every year. That being said, I do think the industry without a single central week-long event like E3 is worse than it is with it. Now, people will say that it's too loud and it's too much of a, they'll be cynical with the whole, it's a marketing ploy and yada, 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 all this money is spent. And I even saw one person say the journalists just get a free ride to LA. Dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. We'll just leave it at that. I think the industry needs it. I've been on record of saying this before, and I will continue to say it. I think this industry needs a single week-long, maybe even weekend-long, focused industry event of E3's caliber. It needs it. It needs its time in the sun every single year. First or second week of June, full week of June, was E3 time. It was video games on display. The entire world looked at E3 every single year. Outlets from across the world were in those buildings, checking out those games, filming the crowds, all that stuff. Without it, the industry is worse for wear. Without it, all we have are digital showcases, which are fine. Digital showcases, not a big deal. The announcements are good. But they do not have the energy of a live showcase with fans in it. They just don't. They don't have the same impact when you're not hearing people react in real time to these announcements. And while YouTube reaction videos are fine, or Twitch live stream watch-alongs are fine, the majority of people aren't seeing that. Part of what made E3 so great was that in these conferences, the Xbox conference, the Nintendo conference when they did it, the Sony conference when they did it, inside these conferences was a lens to the industry. Not just the people making the announcements, but the people watching as well. Outsiders could see all of us gather and get excited about games that were being announced. E3 2016 is one that I keep going back to. That PlayStation show that opened with God of War, it had, what else did that particular show have? Spider-Man, I believe, was one of the ending ones. Amazing energy in that room. The year before, 2015, The Last Guardian, Shenmue 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake, all in the same show. Another one with gigantic energy in it. 2013, I wasn't there for this one. It was the only year of the 2010s that I did not go to E3, but I did watch it on TV. Kingdom Hearts 3 announcement. That room was electric. I still think about that moment. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Unless another convention, a PAX or a brand new one, is going to give time to publishers to have those conferences like that, those media briefings, then I just do not see how that helps the industry. I don't understand how that helps the industry. People always talk about how not going to E3 is a cost-cutting measure. It's gotten too expensive and this and that, and it probably has. I don't know those numbers. I don't know what the number to be on the floor at E3 is anymore. I used to. It's changed. I don't know it anymore. And that's the ESA's fault. The ESA is not innocent in this. They are very much complicit in what happened here. Without them, with a more competent team running this event, I still think it could be thriving like it was in 2019. But right now, my biggest concern is that E3 is going to go away, and all we're going to have for announcements, like the press conferences used to do, are digital showcases that we'll all be watching alone in our rooms, or maybe not alone, maybe with friends or what have you, instead of in the room with the developers, letting them know what we think about their trailers. That window from the outside is going to be gone. I don't understand. I don't understand why people are so happy about this. I don't understand why people are excited that E3 is going away. I don't understand why people want this to be gone. I have always felt in my mind that E3, for all of its bumps and bruises and grossness, is one of the best weeks of the year, or it was for me. Before I could go, 2007, 2008, it was amazing. I still thought it was wonderful. The year 2010, when I got there for the first time, it was a transformative experience. And every year since has been amazing. It's been one of the best weeks of the year for me. It's been one of the most anticipated moments every single year, just because of all the secrets that will be revealed and all the games we'll be playing and stuff like that. Being able to see these developers, see these publishers face to face, meet them, interact with them, play their game, ask questions, stuff like that. That stuff gets lost, even over Discord, even over a Zoom meeting. It gets lost. And it's the kind of thing that won't come back if you keep it all digital. You'll never have that sudden camaraderie feeling ever again. I mentioned on Twitter some of the craziness that happened at E3 in a good way. I'm sure there was some craziness in a bad way, but I'm strictly right this second focusing on some of the super elaborate booths, or the fact that in one year for a Lucha Libre video game, they had actual Lucha Libre come out and wrestle their matches. Just spectacle like that is hard to replicate, especially in this industry. And getting rid of E3, or E3 dying, would be, it would be a tragedy. It would not, I don't want to say a tragedy. That's a little strong. It would be rough for the industry. They might not see it at first, but eventually they'll miss having one centralized location or arenas filled, ready to hear the next game announcements. Things like that. I think it's cynical to say that E3 was just a, marketing machine, or it was just something that people did to, go and party and all this other stuff. And yes, there was a lot of that going on. There were a lot of parties. There were a lot of ways to enjoy yourself, but the work still got done. You still went in to these meetings and talked about games and talked to the people who were making them, and you had that face-to-face camaraderie. I do not want that to go away. I am adamant. I do not want that to go away. I want that to stay as it is for as long as it can muster. The ESA has a job ahead of them. They really do. If they're going to bring this back to its former glory in 2023, they're going to have to really step their game up. They're going to have to win back some of the developers that left, Activision, PlayStation, EA. They're going to have to make damn sure that every single part of that building is being used efficiently and friendly and just generally has a better vibe than it did. Because if it doesn't, if it comes back in 2023 and it's more the same or worse, then it will be well and truly dead. And it would devastate me. Just on a personal level, E3 was the one time of year where I could, go and travel. Became more difficult as the years went on, and I, had kids and got married and everything. But getting to every E3 between 2010 and 2019, with one exception, was magical. There were some of the coolest weeks of the entire year. So many stories of games that were played and people that were met and fun stuff that we did after the fact. All of it innocent. We weren't, other than maybe having a little too much to drink, we weren't doing anything bad. It was just, that's how the industry hung out. Saddle Ranch Chop House, Hollywood Boulevard. Went to a karaoke party there. A lot of fun. I'll have that story forever. E3 gave that to me. I would love for E3 to give me a story again. But the way things are going right now, unless they come out next year and blow us all away, it may be gone. And that will make me very sad. So we'll see. We'll see where E3 is come next June. If I'm flying out to LA to see it, I hope it's everything that it used to be and more. And I'm looking forward to that day where E3 is back with us again. So, all right, so coming up after the break, our final segment of the evening, we're going to look ahead to the next 3 months of the year. We are done January, February, and March. So now it is time for April, May, and June, and everything that's coming out or that you should be looking forward to in those 3 months. Stick around. All right, welcome back to Cheesesteaks and Controllers, episode number 90. Rolling right along here with the final segment of the evening, breaking down all of the big new releases coming in the second quarter of 2022. Can you believe it? This episode is airing on Friday, April 1st. It is already April 2022. This year is flying by. And the first quarter, man, woo, was it a busy one between acquisitions, Sony buying Bungie, Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, big game releases. Elden Ring is the big one. Horizon Forbidden West's, Pokemon Legends Arceus. It is a magnificent time to be a gamer after that first quarter. Second quarter slows down a little bit, but not too much where you won't have anything to play. There is definitely something for everyone coming in the next 3 months. And let's get started with April 5th, LEGO Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. Highly anticipated, long time developed as well. LEGO Star Wars game, bringing all 9 movies together for the first time in the LEGO career. Looking forward to this one. I feel like these LEGO games can either be sneaky good or bad. There's no in between. There are parts of it that are amazing. and there are parts of it that are definitely more for the kids. But as far as a Lego game goes, this is either going to be really, really good or not so great. And we will find out in due time as it comes out just in the 5th of April. Won't have to wait too long for that one. Same day, we also have MLB The Show 2022 coming out for PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, making its Nintendo Switch debut. And it's the best baseball simulator that there is, hands down. There's no getting around it. So if you're into baseball, MLB The Show 22 is for you. And like I said, it's coming to Switch for the first time. We'll see how that one performs. Not exactly sure what to expect with that one, but I'm hoping that it will be a good experience there as well. On the 7th, we have 2 remakes, Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers Edition, and the House of the Dead remake. Very exciting stuff there. Both coming out for Nintendo Switch, but Chrono Cross is also on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. That is a game that passed me by. Chrono Cross really and truly did. I will admit that I wanted to play that when it first came out, but I did not. So hopefully this Radical Dreamers Edition will allow me to fix that and enjoy it for the first time. And it's beautiful soundtrack, as I understand it, and it's great fighting, and so on and so forth. The House of the Dead remake, on the other hand, only for Nintendo Switch. I'm guessing because of the motion controls, or the gyro controls in the Joy-Con. This could be a lot of fun. I played a lot of House of the Dead in my in the arcade down the shore, down in the Jersey Shore when I was a growing boy. In fact, every year on our week-long vacation, my friend Matt would come down to the shore with us, and whenever we would go to Gateway 26th Street in the Boardwalk in North Wildwood, New Jersey, we would try and beat an entire House of the Dead machine from start to finish in one sitting. Very tough to do, but it can be done. And you're about to get your chance when House of the Dead Remake hits the Switch on the 7th. Next up, we have a couple of ports, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, and Star Wars The Force Unleashed coming to the Switch on the 12th and the 20th, respectively. Chernobylite and Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, also coming out April 21st. PS5 and Xbox Series X for Chernobylite, Pocky and Rocky Reshrined coming to the Switch and PS4. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe for all consoles and PC. Indie darling, the Stanley Parable, very upbeat, very a little absurd as well. Game is supposed to be very, very good. Is coming to all consoles from its amazing developers, publisher's name, Crows. Love that name. But that's something to look forward to as well. That was just announced recently, like yesterday or today. Very cool if that's coming to consoles. And then the big one in April for me, April 29th, is Nintendo Switch Sports, the return of the Wii Sports brand, now called Nintendo Switch Sports, obviously. They offer different games that played very much in that same style. You can use the Joy-Cons to bowl or to play tennis or to play baseball or any of that. So that is going to be very, very cool. I think it's going to sell a ton just based on the fact that it's called Wii Sports, or used to be called Wii Sports, and is now Nintendo Switch Sports. I think that's going to be a gangbuster seller right there. Definitely one to keep an eye on. And then we get to May, and May gets a little quiet, right? May gets a little bit quieter. Not so much going on here. Salt and Sacrifice, adventure ARPG, action RPG, Metroidvania sort of game. Evil Dead, the game, the 4-on-1 isometric where the 4 players are trying to get out and the zombies are getting them. That'll be a fun one if you're like Evil Dead. Definitely one to check out there. Sniper Elite 5 at the end of the month. Pretty cool that the 5th one's coming out. I'm not sure how those games keep being so as successful as they are, because you're just shooting through a window and you can't really move around all that much. You're a sniper, but they sell, man. And now the 5th one's coming out just in a little over a month here. It's an exciting time for that developer, I'm sure. And then finally, Pac-Man Museum Plus on the Switch, PS4, and Xbox One and PC. Just Pac-Man with a bunch of different extra add-ons and stuff like that. So, moving on now to June. Big one right out of the gate is Mario Strikers Battle League on the 10th, accompanied by The Quarry, made by Supermassive Games, being published by 2K. Supermassive made Until Dawn, made The Man of Medan. playable horror franchise, so definitely a pedigree there for horror games. So they're making another like teen slasher fix sort of thing in the Quarry. And then Mario Strikers Battle League is more Mario Strikers. I'm not exactly sure what else you need me to say about that. More of the fact that it's even coming out is great, and we've only known about it since February. We have till June to get ready for it. Seems fast, will be faster, but I'm excited to see what's going out there. Capcom Fighting Collection and Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes on the 24th. So you have a Fire Emblem Warriors game based on the universe that was created in 3 houses. I think it's a great idea. There's a lot of characters they can build from. There's a lot of situations that they can take from. That is a very solid Warriors game idea there. And then Capcom Fighting Collection, I've had that circled on my calendar ever since they announced it. They announced it the same day as for Street Fighter 6. And the fact that they're even acknowledging some of these games like Red Earth and Darkstalkers and all that other stuff is really, really, really cool. And I hope that they continue to support these games. If we buy them, they will. I don't want to hear that, there were Darkstalkers games, so buying them doesn't mean anything. That is bogus. So make sure that if you want to, support those games, you got to buy them. You got to let them know that people want them. So, Capcom Fighting Collection hopefully flies off the shelves and we start getting new titles and all that stuff. And honestly, that's what we got going on. It's a decent list. There's some good stuff coming in the next couple of months. Obviously, we're not including any shadow drops or anything like that happens. Every once in a while, people will randomly announce a game like during a Nintendo Direct or during a PlayStation State of Play or whatever, and then just say, whoop, surprise, available now. I'm not sure if we'll get that anytime in these 3 months. I would like that. However, with no releases in June will come the live stream showcases, as I was mentioning earlier. You figure Microsoft will have something to say there, Nintendo might have something to say there. A bunch of different studios may come out with some new releases, if not part of the bigger announcement showcase like a Sony or a Nintendo, than doing it to themselves, doing it for themselves. The Summer Game Fest schedule is not out yet. Still waiting to see what kind of events will be on that when that goes live sometime later this year. It's a packed time. It's always a packed time. You never know what's going to come next around the pipeline and be the game that everybody wants to play. So you have to keep a lookout for all these things. Plus the events start to happening, so you have all those announcements coming back or debuting for the first time, depending on the game. It's an interesting time. It's an interesting time. It's an interesting year. Some stuff has already come out. We're going to rest a little bit. We're going to finish strong, but let's not get too hasty here. We're only in the second quarter of 2022, and there are still plenty of games to be announced and plenty of games to be played. So that is the end of episode 90 of Cheesesteaks and Controllers. I am Jason Finelli, and I am the esports and gaming insider for Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, iHeartRadio. I hope you have a good weekend. Hope you have a lot of good plans. WrestleMania coming up this weekend, Saturday and Sunday night. Very, very excited about that. If you're listening to this podcast right when it went out, you can listen to a WrestleMania roundtable between myself, John Jansen, and the Shooters Radio guys, Nick McCone and Vaughn Johnson. We are doing that Friday night. Podcast links will also be available for that as well, so you can listen to that right after you listen to this. Do a little double header action. That would be pretty cool. Leading up to WrestleMania starting Saturday night at 7 o'clock. If you're a wrestling fan and you don't care what you're watching, there's a ton of indie stuff going on as well. Lots of wrestling to take advantage of and lots of video games to play when you're not watching wrestling. So make sure that you find what you want to do and have yourself a great weekend doing it. And with that, like I said, this is the end of episode number 90 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you have a fantastic week right behind it. And we will be back next week, episode 91. Might have an interview cooking up. We'll have to see. Could be a very fun one. Looking forward to that very much. Keep to this channel to find out who it might be. Goodbye.